WrestleMania week has finally come to a close, and after such a lackluster build, we were delivered a pretty decent WrestleMania. Definitely wasn't the best. By far, not the best. But it wasn't the worst. I will have to say it wasn't that bad, but it definitely was disappointing. I watched it and had a good time, but really struggled with the direction of everything. Still wondering, why are we doing this and what's the point of this match, i.e. the War Raiders and New Day. Why did that make the card instead of the Smackdown tag team division? But, and after the show was over on Sunday, I was not looking forward to anything after. I was a little disappointed. John Cena would end up beating Cody Rhodes, and that wasn't really what I was disappointed about. I was really disappointed on how poor the ending was. There was no Rock. Travis Scott came out, and John Cena won with a cheap move, which I expected. I expected the cheap, but I expected a bigger spectacle for what they made it out to be. This felt like Saturday night main event, just a very, very long Saturday night main event. And it was disappointing. It was disappointing to leave and know that that was it. That was the biggest event of the year for the biggest wrestling company in the world. It was disappointing. I have no other words to say other than I was just sad. I was sad that I spent all year working and living excited for WrestleMania 41. The potential of The Rock versus Cody Rhodes, even John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. And what we got was that. But all hope was restored. I won't say all hope, but some hope was restored on Monday night. 20 hours later, the WWE pulled me back in and said, hey, we're not done yet. WrestleMania was bad. The Raw after it made the whole event worth. After Raw was over, I saw this tweet by Zashi120. I would consider him a friend of mine and a huge wrestling fan and Randy Orton fan. His tweet reads, Triple H just wanted to start over because tonight was just filled with new ideas and exciting directions. WrestleMania felt like it was at a dead end and he wanted to get it over with. And I completely agree. After reading that tweet, I went back and looked at WrestleMania and looked at the Raw after that was so good. I've watched it twice. WrestleMania I didn't watch twice. I watched the highlights, but it definitely felt like WrestleMania was a bookend for a lot of things. WrestleMania closed the book on Braun Breaker, closed the book on Gunther being sort of passive in his wrestling style. He talked about beating Cody Rhodes at Crown Jewel with just a sleeper and failed, and his reign has not been nearly as good as his Intercontinental Championship reign, and so they bookended that. And as of Raw, he is back to his demon time ways, choking out Pat McAfee so bad that he turned purple. Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker goes into WrestleMania probably as the favorite, and Dom Mysterio ends up taking the win and taking his first major singles title. And we would go to Raw after Mania and see that Braun Breaker has joined Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins to form a group, which I am ecstatic about. I am so excited about that. I can't wait to see what they cook up and what's going to happen with this group. And even then, you go back to Seth Rollins, CM Punk, and Roman Reigns. The entire time CM Punk and Roman Reigns were fighting for control of Paul Heyman, Seth snuck in and stole him away from both of them. The Architect comes back. The Monday Night Messiah might be here. And what do we get Monday? A whole new group that is incredibly exciting. More exciting than 90% of what was going on at WrestleMania. The women's tag team match with Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and then Becky Lynch making her return with Lyra Valkyria. And another thing we probably will talk about eventually is the stifling of Bayley. It's honestly sad to watch, and after her Chris Van Vliet interview, it's so sad. But Bayley would end up being injured and Becky Lynch would replace her. They would go on to win the tag team championship, to lose them on the Raw after. And guess what? Becky was back and turns heel. Something that I didn't think we'd see so soon. I thought it would happen eventually, but by golly, under 24 hours, that's insane. That's crazy, but it's exciting. It's new, it's fresh. Something we haven't seen out of Becky Lynch in a while. And I'm sure there is more to come and more to follow after from WrestleMania, with SmackDown still coming. I recorded this post Monday Night Raw, so I haven't seen SmackDown yet. This will probably come out after SmackDown, but with SmackDown coming, I'm sure there are so many more things that are about to change. So many new directions that'll take place. With Jacob Fatu winning the United States Championship, where does that take us? You know, we still haven't fully explored what's going on with him, Solo, Tama Tonga, and Tongaloa, as Tongaloa's been out injured, and they just announced that Tama Tonga is also injured. So now that just leaves Solo and Jacob. So where do we go from here? I don't know, but now after this Raw, I am looking forward to seeing what happens. LA Knight did a fantastic job as champion, and Jacob Fatu just won his first singles championship of many. I believe that Jacob Fatu one day will be a face of the business. And this is just the beginning. And to get your first championship on WrestleMania, I feel like says a lot about how the WWE feels about you. Dominic Mysterio, the exact same way. Getting his first singles championship on WrestleMania is a huge achievement. Regardless of how the show played out itself, it's still a massive achievement. And I'm very happy for both of them. The future of WWE feels bright, but there is a voice in the back of my head that says they have had it in the palm of their hands before and dropped it. And I hope that this WrestleMania was just for them to kind of close some things up. I hate they wasted a WrestleMania on this. They could have done so many things with WrestleMania, but here we are. There's nothing we could do about it. We're post WrestleMania. Have to be looking forward to WrestleMania 42 in New Orleans. And hopefully this direction change and this excitement can carry on and grow and foster new ideas, new feuds, whatever. Just build something. The last couple of months have been less than fantastic, and I'm hoping that we can finally get to a point where the wheels are turning and things are moving. And I understand that there's injuries at play and different things happen, but to get those wheels moving again is fantastic, and it finally feels like there is some sort of direction. The last couple of months, it felt like it wasn't too much of a direction. They're just trying to, get things done. But now it feels like there's a reason why they're doing things. And that's just after one episode. Next week we'll have to see how Raw does and how SmackDown does and go from there. Right now, with my excitement with the WWE, it's very week to week. There are a lot of wrestling companies out there putting on amazing shows week to week. And I spend my time watching WWE because I love WWE. I have a deep love for WWE. It's been there through the toughest times of my life and the happiest times of my life. Even if the product wasn't good, I was still there watching because it was consistent, it was there, and I knew I could lean back on it whenever I just needed to shut my brain off and throw something on the TV. And now that I'm at a point where I'm watching intently so I can make these videos, and I enjoy making these videos, and I enjoy talking about the WWE, it's been so hard to do that with no direction, no excitement. And so now post-Mania world, I believe we will finally get some excitement out of the WWE. I feel like the tide is turning, and we're finally hitting a mark that will bring a lot of people back into the company. But one of the most disappointing things about post-Mania is finding out that The Rock really had no clear direction for any of this, and we suffered through a bad John Cena and Cody Rhodes match for nothing. The Rock was even backstage and didn't join. That's the most disappointing part of the whole Mania season. And Friday, I guess we'll find out. Monday, we kind of heard from John Cena, said he had 25 appearances left for the year. So I'm really not sure what we're going to get out of this. We did get Randy Orton RKOing him though, which is icing on the cake. Great. I really hope we get to see Randy Orton and John Cena at Backlash. Nothing against Cody Rhodes and him getting his championship back, but it might be time for some fresh faces and some fresh blood, even though Randy is older. Some new faces with the championship would be nice. I think there's an arc in a short title reign that the WWE has forgotten. Maybe it's just time to explore that one more time. But here we are at what seems like a pivot in the business that hopefully if you're watching, you love. If you don't love it, hopefully you give it a try sometime soon. In the coming days, we will be talking about some more events that took place WrestleMania weekend and highlighting some really good wrestling and really good things that happened outside of the WWE scope. So if you're interested in that, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on those bell notifications so you know the next time I post. But with that, this video is over, and I thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.